will train the very best. There's no better team. I will battle every day. It's always been our dream. Pokémon!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the D-Pad. I'm Rick. That was a different intonation than I usually go with. And this is Pokemon the Very Best, where we're continuing our quest to bring our buddy STRATS the Rattata to level 100 to be provably a top percent Rattata on Route 1, Pokemon Blue. And we're back. It's another Cacnea stream because Homeboy feels not so great and looks even worse. And so I figure I will spare you my ghoulish visage for this particular stream. And we're rocking the Cacnea in order to preserve everyone's sanity. If you gazed upon my physical form, you would reel in terror. So let's get into this. The first thing we need to do, of course, is figure out what kind of question we're going to be answering for the generational trauma rule set. So let's spin the wheel here and see what generation we're looking at to start with. Oh, is this going to be our first Winds and Waves? Oh, it is. Dang. All right. Okay, so this is going to be a Winds and Waves thing. This one's going to be interesting because some of these options are not even going to be viable. I guess if we land on Fossil, we don't really know. We don't really know anything for the fossils. We do have the starters. We do have the versions, and we can pick a nickname. So really the fossils are the only, and even still, fossils are something that would be like a 50% of the time thing anyway. So let's go ahead and, yeah, exactly. A bunch of the generations just don't have them. So let's spin this, and if we get fossil, then we'll spin it again. Oh my god, are we picking our starter tonight? Oh, this is a big one, guys. Yeah, oh boy, okay. This is a big one. We're going to be picking our starter. Ooh, okay, all right. Let's see here. Let me pull down our thing here so I can get this started. This is a pretty important one, I think. Can folks remind me what the three of them are? Because honestly, they're so new that I don't even know them off the top of my head. Where is my file for this? There it is. Let's see. Water is usually the third, right? So we got Gekwa. Is it Browt? That sounds right. Pom-Bomb. This is going to be a very interesting one. This is going to be a very interesting one. I don't know what to expect with this, if I'm being real with you. But yeah, it's basically not Rowlet, not Sobble, and we got 100 already for Pom-Bomb. Oh, sorry, Pom-Bomb, not Pom-Bomb. Whoop, and fixed. There we go. We got another minute and a half before our time officially starts for tonight. What does Pom-Bomb remind me of? I can't quite... I guess Pom-Bomb sort of reminds me of a bunch of the dog Pokemon, but, like, its physical form reminds me a little bit of Zamazenta. I think just... It's the huge, like, frilly sort of thing going on there, I think. Let me get my game up there. Ooh, and 100 for Gekwa. All right. This is gonna be an interesting one. I feel like, I'll be honest, I don't know that I'd be disappointed with any of them. All three of them are actually, it's the first time in a while that I've been like, I could see myself liking all three of these. Me personally, I'll be honest, I'm a little partial to Browt, but I think that's just like residual Rowlet energy. Also, I just like owls in general. I'm also a fan of Hoot Hoot and Noctowl. And to a certain extent, Natu and Xatu as well, though I don't even know if they count really as owls. They're more abstract than that. They're kind of I guess they could be like tribal renditions of like hawks by the time they get to Xatu. I don't know. But all right, we're getting started in just a moment here. All right, and we are off. We are in. We are back. Alrighty. So I'm curious how far we'll get tonight. I would like to get to level 38. It would be great if we could get to 39 even, but we'll see. Oh, you have actually watched The Amazing Digital Circus. Nice. Nice. What do you think so far? You'll be going to the movie in June, yeah, right? When we were in Scotland, there was an afternoon where Sarah and I were like so beat when we were in Edinburgh, and we were just like, we don't want to go anywhere. We're so tired. We didn't sleep for shit. Let's just... The other three in the group were going to go and like check out the city, and we're like, we're going to hang out. And we had enough time there that I was like, you know, would you be down for me showing you this series I've been watching online? And I gave her like the very basic gist. Oh, we got 100 for Browt as well. All right. Got a tie so far. Very engaged with the material as it stands. Looking forward to seeing how it all ends. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got some theories. I don't even think that they're like very out there theories. I think if anything, the series is being not like upfront with it, but like the signs are there for some of the stuff that I'm considering as being like headcanon stuff. I don't know if I want to talk too much about it though, in case other people are like just getting into it or catching up to it or stuff. But yeah, I showed it to Sarah and like she was kind of iffy on it ish for like she was kind of like, this is fine for like the first episode or two. But by the time we got into the third episode, she was like, oh, okay, yep, I get it. And she was very into it from there. And we wound up binging the whole series, or 1 through 8 anyway, because 9 isn't out yet. But yeah, we binged the whole thing all in one go. We got bothered repeatedly. We had someone from housekeeping who was going to clean stuff, and we had forgotten to put the thing on the door. And then the rest of our group showed up at one point to drop off. They had gone to a sweet shop or a patisserie style situation, and they brought back some stuff. And then a different housekeeping person tried to come in and was like, please no, we put the thing on the door. But yeah, I would agree. The first episode is like okay at setting up the basic premise. I think what doesn't help, and it's so not their fault, because like there's vibes of Mega Man Fully Charged in the sense of like the animation for the first episode is a little on the rough side. It's a little more basic, and both like the animation, the textures, like a lot of the elements of it are just a lot more basic for it. And granted, it was a pilot, so like there's only so much of that they were going to have in the first place. But then, even by the time you get to episode 3, the plot is doing something much more interesting. And you can already get a sense of like some of the basics. Because that's 3 is Mildenhall Manor, I think. And that's where you get the first real piece of like, oh, there's more going on here than you would have caught from first blush. I'm trying to remember what episode 2. Episode 2, if anything, is almost like it's sort of like resolution for episode 1 almost, more than anything. I guess it's kind of both. It's an episode 2 and resolution for the pilot, but honestly, I was kind of expecting again, I don't know if I want to get into it too much in case there's folks. I guess, is there any, like, are folks here, like, in the live portion of this? The episodes are literally flowing one to the other. Yeah, they do flow into each other pretty closely for a while there. At the very least, the first 2 are more or less back-to-back. I'm trying to remember how closely the third one follows after. Oh, God. I'm trying to remember which episodes are which, because, like, the 4th still has, like, I believe episode 4 still has part of the, like, original plot going on there. The beach episode, I think, is number 7. They all get guns, I think, is number 6. Oh, 4 is the food, is the fast food one. Yeesh. Yeah. 3 does a good job of setting stuff up, and 4 really feels like it like puts its foot down on the accelerator a little bit. There's some dark and weird stuff as you get into 4, and it's just kind of like, okay, so this is where we're going with this. Got it. What was 5 though? Oh, 5 was the suggestion box episode. Oh man, it's a bummer in some ways because it's like I could watch 40 episodes of this as a concept. But yeah, the lightning round. But like the story would never be as good if like stretched like taffy out to 40 episodes or something. Like it's really going to lose some of its potency if it got stretched that hard. But like, man, Gooseworks really fucking nailed it. It's one of the best series I've seen, honestly, in years. It's a great rendition, or maybe not rendition, but like it's as something inspired strongly by another very popular work. It does an excellent job of like adapting that to something that like really makes sense in 2026 in particular. There's definitely some commentary that may not have necessarily been there at the very beginning, but it's certainly prominent now. Favorite episode is very tough. Episode 8, I think, is really good just because they really do a lot with it, though it does spend a lot of time at either like, a 100% or 20% in terms of like pacing. So you're kind of like clutching your chest at times, and then the rest you're like, oh boy, okay. Huh. And there's not a lot of in between, whereas 7, the beach episode, feels more like it's got a continuous sort of like ebb and flow of, tension and pacing and all of that. The musical number for 8, I love. It's been in my head off and on for, do you understand what's happening at the beginning of 8 without outside help? Yes, sort of. I didn't know specifically. I had an idea of what was happening, but being told from outside sources and stuff who the characters we were seeing were made it make more sense. Like one of them was extremely obvious, obviously. Another one was pretty easy to extrapolate. And then the other 3 or 4 that were there, like I wasn't really sure, other than like a general, oh, I got an idea of what this collective is, but I don't know who anybody is. But there were like 1 or 2 lines in the series that did give at least a little bit more information to make that make sense. But yeah, that was definitely a case of like, oh, I had a pretty good idea about the red and blue dots. It's just abstract enough that there's some wiggle room there, but like I think it was pretty clear to me what they were getting at for that. The real question that I have is who the blue is? I've heard some interesting theories about that. They may not even explain it at all, because a decent chunk of the plot that's related to that is probably now in the rearview mirror. But the red and blue, it took me, I watched it once and was a little like, huh? And then I watched the episode again and was like, oh, I get it. I understand what we're doing here. It wasn't like immediately obvious, but I did have a pretty okay idea of like what they were getting at. So many little details though in the opening portions of the episode. I will say one thing from the trailer. I think I posted about this on Blue Sky. One thing from the trailer that I haven't seen anybody comment on yet is that the last shot of the trailer doesn't look like your average 3D animation camera move. It looks like a tracking shot to match someone wearing a VR headset. Genuinely, it might literally be a scene that they animated in a way that was then viewable with a headset in order to get that effect. I would say that the third to last line of episode 8 is probably a pretty big line, pretty big favorite of that. But oh yeah, let's have a freaking beach party. Oh god, what was the other one? I'm like, why would they hate you if they could always hate you? I'm like, wait, what? Huh? There's so much of that. I love the expressiveness of the animation in 8. I feel like they really went to the paint on that one. I have a couple like thoughts about where I think so to a certain degree. I think the most obvious theory is about like what the base premise of the final episode is going to be. I don't even think it's that big of a stretch, but also, oh god, it's an hour-long episode, and I feel like the mood is going to be quite low for most of it. The biggest question to me is like, what is going to happen with Jax for the final episode? Because like some of the imagery that they're working with, I've got some theories about Jax, but also some of the imagery that they've gone with in the trailers and the poster and you know, marketing type material for it makes me wonder if he's just gonna come. I mean, I don't think it would be much of a surprise that he just completely snaps, but there's the question of like, does he doesn't even look, from what we've seen, like he's going to abstract. Like, part of me is worried he's going to go fucking serial killer mode or something. But I don't know. There's some. I have plenty of theories about where things may go for that final episode. I thought the intermission break was fun. I thought that was a cute throwback to like Cartoon Network type animated things where they're just like, let's just do some stylized thing with a bunch of our characters for the hell of it. Yeah, the last the trailer for it doesn't give essentially anything away. If anything, it just kind of heightens the theorizing that I've had for what is going to be going on there. But yeah, I think he's going to be some level of antagonist for the final episode. And like, again, I've got theories about Jax, but they are quite spoilerific in terms of if anybody hasn't watched. If anybody isn't caught up. It's funny, too. I remember watching the first 2 episodes. They weren't even back-to-back. I think I watched the first episode. I would have, I think, watched the first episode at the old apartment. I think it was early 2023. And then the second episode, I didn't watch immediately when it came out, but I watched it not too long after. And episode 3 wasn't a thing yet. And it might have either been right before or right after we moved. And then I didn't keep up with it, mostly because, like, oh, I saw episode 3 came out. And I'm like, oh, I'll watch that at some point. I just never got around to it. And then it fully fell off my radar. And then all of a sudden, 8 episodes are out. And I'm like, oh, shit, I should, like, really catch up on this. Did not have any clue that it was the second to last episode. But I, like, binged the other 6 episodes one day and was like, whoa, okay. This is a fully different show than I thought it was going to be. In a good way. There is a part of me that low-key thinks that our cast is going to wind up essentially not rebooting the circus, but like just kind of taking control of it and like, oh, we can do it better or something if they're ostensibly still stuck there, which I think they are. I think it's going to be a very bittersweet sort of ending for our characters. Alright. Because, yeah, there's like some very basic theorizing on what's going on in the series. Paints a not too pretty picture about like what even the possible end games may be. Hard to imagine a perfectly amazing ending. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a pretty downbeat ending. Which is again kind of why I'm wondering if they're going to give it just the tiniest hint of like positive bittersweet, like adding the tiniest bit of sweet to the bitter by having them run the circus or something, but I don't know. There's so much that could happen, you know? But we shall see. Sarah and I have tickets. We're going to the Saturday afternoon showing. I'm glad that they have episode 8 leading into it, partly because I'm sure to a certain extent the theaters are like, look, you have to have at least like feature length amount of time in order to use up, you know, our you know, cinema seats or whatever. I kind of wish episode 7 was also in there. Ah, Prince Dusk, hello! We'll toss another 100 in for Pombon. Alrighty. Whoops, damn it. Nope. There we go. But yeah, I kind of wish episode 7 was also in there. Like, I get that it kind of feels like... Oh, yeah, no, 8 is a great, like... It almost feels like a first and second act of the movie with just a super extended third act. But I'm a little surprised they didn't do episode 7 also. Just because I feel like 7 sets up 8 so directly. 6 and 7 like kind of have a bit of a gap plot wise between them, but 7, other than the one shot of Abel kind of like peeking at Pomni at one point. I think that happens in 6 late in the thing, but I feel like 7, 8, and 9 would all make one really good thing together. But so Generational Trauma is the project that's going to follow this sometime next year, where we're going to be doing a Genlock, which is essentially a chain of Nuzlocks that go from one generation to the next. And we're essentially going to be doing it as one big thing. There's a handful of rules I've already kind of set down, though. Maybe I'll have like a veto-able vote on that once we've exhausted all of our other votable things here. But so the gist is, yeah, we're going to start with Gen 1, do a Nuzlocke of that, Gen 2, Gen 3, all the way down. An important note, though, is that some of our usual Nuzlocke and Padlock rules are going to be in effect across the whole thing. So, for example, the usual family clause where like, oh, if you catch a Rattata on Route 1, you can't catch a Raticate later on Route 17 or whatever. That's going to be the case for the entire series. So once I've caught, say, a Pidgey in Gen 1, because the odds of, or a better one perhaps is like a Zubat or a Graveler, or a Geodude, the odds of not catching one of those is like so close to zero, it's crazy. But once we've caught one of those, it will no longer be a valid catch for the entire remainder of the Genlock. Which is going to do some interesting things to some of these games. Gen 2 in particular is going to be very strange with a whole shitload of Gen 1 Pokemon knocked out. And then amusingly, on the flip side, Gen 5 couldn't give two shits. Gen 5 is 100% new Pokemon until you beat the game, so that one won't give a shit about what we have caught elsewhere. I think that oh, hello, Don Lush. Hello. One of the rules that I kind of came up with as a fix to some of the problems that may be caused by, because there will also be bringing Pokemon forward from one gen to the next, but obviously if I do that, then I've got way too strong of Pokemon. So I am most likely going to have it be that I can't use Pokemon from a previous generation's catches until I have a badge that is high enough level for me to use the Pokemon and not have them disobey me. The alternative is that I can just use them anyway, but there would just be the risk of them disobeying me. But I think just setting down the rule of like, if my badge says I can't do it, then I just can't do it. The other big thing is, so normally when John and I do our padlocks, when we start a new series, the winner of the previous one gets to take forward an egg bred from one of the dead Pokemon. We're going to do it kind of the opposite way. Well, I guess it's not even the opposite way. We're going to bring forward all of the Pokemon with the exception of, or maybe including, and we'll just put them in a box separately, but any Pokemon that made it to the end of the game and actually entered the Hall of Fame will be retired. They won't be dead, but they will be retired. So 1 through 6 of them, however many survive the Elite Four and Champion match of a given game, will no longer be usable at all. Which will prevent me from just stacking the deck with some absolute killer team of 6 that then just sweeps every single Elite Four. So by the end of this, I will ultimately need 66 solid Pokemon in order to get through stuff. How will you do Gen 2 to Gen 3 since you can't move them? Yeah, so like Alexpert says, I'm going to be using PK Hex. So I don't know at what point I will stop emulating. Certainly before I get to the Switch. And probably somewhere in the ballpark of the DS games. But at some point I will be switching over from emulating, for one. But before that point, so for at least for Gens 1, 2, and 3, if not 4 or 5 also, I'll be emulating these, which means I can go in with PK Hex. And essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to be doing some research into how the official games handled the 3DS ports of Gens 1 and 2. Because you could put stuff into, I forget it was the Pokemon Bank or Pokemon Home directly from Gens 1 and 2 on the 3DS. And that involved, in some cases I think it involved recalculating stats from like base stats and, values and things. In some cases, I want to say they just straight up re-roll certain things. So I'm going to follow the same methodology for that in order to convert my Gen 2 Pokemon into Gen 3 compatible Pokemon. Because we're not doing Fire Red Leaf Green, we're not doing Heart Gold Soul Silver, we're doing original Gen 1, red, blue, yellow. We're doing original Gen 2, gold, silver, crystal. Actually, sorry. Correction to that. For Gen 1, I believe we're playing Pokemon Blue. I believe that's already been decided that we're playing Pokemon Blue. But for Gen 2, it could be gold, could be silver, could be crystal. Oops, whoops, what am I doing? It's probably for the best that we're not doing Pokemon Yellow. One, because it's just so different from the experience of Red and Blue. Two, the levels are higher, generally, for like the gym and boss, gym and Elite Four and champion stuff. And also, like, the pacing is all weird. So, like, they try to stick so hard to the anime that they let a bunch of elements of the game kind of go by the wayside. So, like, Lieutenant Surge is kind of a pushover. Damn, we missed twice? Jesus. You also get all three of the other starters. It's weird. They tried to do something with it, and it just kind of, in my opinion, didn't really work out. Not in the sense of, like, I don't think Pokemon Yellow is a bad game by any stretch, but if you're trying to go for, like, a Nuzlocke type thing, having Nuzlocked Pokemon Yellow in the past, it wasn't a really fun time. Not that Red or Blue is necessarily going to be, like, 1,000 times better, but it'll be at least a little bit less devious. But yeah, so our Gen 1 game is Blue. In fact, let me just pull up. I'll pull up our thing here, and I'll read down what we've got so far. So our polls so far have decided the following: for Gen 1, we're going to be playing Pokemon Blue version. For Gen 4, I'm going to be using Turtwig as my starter. For Gen 6, I'm going to be playing Pokemon Y. For Gen 7, I'm going to be playing Pokemon Ultra Moon. Which is funny because, so Pokemon Y was the one that John played for our Padlock, and I have not played that. I've technically never played Pokemon Y ever. And then Pokemon Ultra Moon is the only one from Gen 7 that we haven't touched at all. Because John and I played Sun and Moon, and Ben and Lindsay played Ultra Sun for a bit. Lieutenant Surge in Yellow is still the only gym leader in history with just one Pokemon. Jesus. I could have sworn that one of the Rock-type gym leaders had just one in one of the middle generations, but that's so funny. I guess everybody's had two. But yeah, Gen 7, we're going to play Ultra Moon. And Gen 9, we decided on a nickname scheme for Gen 9. The winner for that was sequential letters first. So, like, my first Pokemon has to start with an A. My second Pokemon's nickname has to start with a B, and then a C, and a D, and onward. The second place for that was Wiki Random Pages. I don't know if that will ultimately factor in, but that was what took second place. And that one is literally click random page on Wikipedia and then find a way to mush that into a Pokemon name. Some of those will be easier than others if that does come up. But technically, we're going with sequential letters first. I just marked down the second place in case, I don't know, in case we decide to get a little more complicated with it. And now we're deciding on the Gen 10 starter. We got Browt, we got Pombon, we got Gekwa. And for the first time since, Gen maybe 4, maybe 5? I guess not 5. I don't really like Tepig that much. In Gen 6, I don't really like, is Chespin 6 or 7? I think, no, Chespin is 6 because Rowlet is 7. I don't really like Chespin that much. Gen 7 was Rowlet, Litten, and was that the one with, I can't remember its name, the little seal, the little sea lion seal one? Poplio, I think? That one, I guess I like that one okay. I actually do like all three of those pretty well, come to think of it. I was going to say it's probably the first time since Gen, like, 4-ish that I like all three starters, but I guess that's not fair. Sun and Moon, I actually like all three starters. From memory, taking into account the changes from Gen 2 to Gen 3, you're better off just rolling a new Pokemon anyway. I mean, that's the thing. Oh, hello, Clark. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, Salty as well. Oh, my goodness. Are you guys coming off a Mario Party madness or a Fortune Street madness? Or, excuse me, Misfortune Street madness. How goes? How goes? You've caught me on a Cacnea cam day. Oh my god, is that gonna... That might have to be the name, my implicit name for a Cacnea. We've joked so much about Cameron as the formless camera person in so many of our Let's Plays. Maybe this is gonna have to be Cameron. Cam the Cacnea. If anything goes wrong, blame Korshel's internet. Oh no. Oh my god, yeah, it's what, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. for you? Holy shit, man, go to bed. I will catch you later. I need to message you. I spent some time in the hospital last week. I need to talk to you about the thing that you messaged me about. I'm so sorry that I let that slide so long. But yeah, go to bed, And I will talk to you later. If this was Clark and Salty and Cordial, it has to have been Fortune Street. I guess or alternatively, I guess the Fortune Street crew playing Mario Party Madness. Pokemon stuff has been interesting for me lately. Oh, in what way? Been watching Brett of Beard Bros stream a Gen 1 ROM hack called Pure Green. Ooh, is that a new one? I feel like that... I could swear that I was hearing something about that recently. Or maybe it was a different one named something else green. It's so hard to keep up with all the Pokemon ROM hacks these days, to be dead honest. There's also now Pokemon Monomyth that just got a trailer for it recently. Which, like, seems like it might be built off of Gen 3? It's kind of hard to tell, to be honest. Which is, like, good for them, but, you know. So the moves are different. A lot of them are extremely busted. Ooh. Oh, no. Apparently it was sick week for people including... Oh, no, you too? Oh, no. Fortunately, mine was like a predetermined thing. This was not like a surprise injury or a surprise sickness. This was a scheduled thing. Still wasn't fun. At some point, I will tell the tale. Maybe not right now, but it's been an interesting... May has been a very... April into May has been a very interesting time for me. I'm not a big fan of 39 so far, let me tell you. Growth now heals you and boosts special... Wait, special, both meaning special... special attack and special defense while also healing? That's way the fuck too much. Especially for what is essentially what? Like mid-tier... Oh wait, growth used to be special attack, right? Or is it special... Or is it both specials? Gen 1 only had... Oh, right, because it's Gen 1. Right. Yeah, growth was just special, but not the increase, right? Because, like... That's basically like combining growth with like absorb or like mega drain or something. Defense Girl makes you not take super effective damage anymore, while acid armor halves all damage flat. Huh. Yeah, that seems kind of broken. Then it got made special attack, and then later it got made both attack and special attack. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, growth is already honestly kind of pretty, like, better than it maybe should be. I feel like growth is only as good as it is now because special was one stat in Gen 1, and so it was more powerful than it should have been back then, too. But Sunny does 2 stages. Good Christ, yeah. That's a lot. Sunny growth doubling your attack and special attack is it's already kind of busted. Barrage is now a ghost type move that hits twice with 40 BP. Oh, like that, is that for power basically? I think I've seen it not do super effective damage. I've never seen it not do. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, man, I can't get into games that do that. Like, it's one thing if you want to make like super moves or busted moves that are extremely hard to get, or they're like, oh, every Pokemon line now has a move that it learns at like 85 and it's the equivalent of like a Z move or something. Like, that's fine, I guess. But like, this feels like it's just intentionally unbalancing the game. Like, it's fanfic mode a little bit, you know? Yeah, I would agree that there's something there is absolutely, you know, value in taking moves that suck and making them at least not nothing. Like, hell, if someone I would actually be kind of charmed if there was a fan game that took Splash and made it do like a minuscule amount of water damage. Or hell, essentially calculate the damage the same as Struggle, but make it water type or something. Like, that's kind of cute. Granted, the whole point of Splash is that it does nothing, so maybe that's also too much, you know? Doduo is ground flying. I don't like that. Voltorb is electric fire. Yeah, I don't like that either. Mr. Mime is psychic and ghost. These are weird. Yeah, if you're designing a regional or a convergent evolution, or no, divergent evolution. No, convergent evolution. Whatever the name, whatever the fuck the name is that they use for it right now, like Diglett, Wiglet, that stuff. I think that's fine. Hell, I've been fiddling with that kind of stuff myself because I've talked about it before. I have a loose idea for a Pokemon fan game rattling around in my brain, and some of that also involves kind of redesigning a couple Pokemon and treating them as, like, you know, regional variants. Your regionals are effectively divergent evolution. Yeah, I agree. We've talked about this before, where, like, me personally, I think it's silly that there's any distinction whatsoever between regional variants and divergent evolutions, but I guess they can be in, like, different egg groups and stuff or something. But yeah, no, I don't know. There's the divergent evolution thing is like, it's something that it's a thing that happened. Well, it's weird because it's referred to as divergent evolution, I think, but it's really convergent evolution, right? It's like carcinization. A bunch of things keep evolving to be more crab-like. Like, there's, like, ticks are very crab-like. Even though they have, it's called convergent. Okay, cool. I was like, wait, but we've got, the idea is that it's two completely different things that have evolved to be very similar. So that'd be convergent, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's a thing that does happen in the world, but like, it's generally, carcinization's sort of a special case, but it's generally pretty fucking rare. So the amount of it that all happened at once in the last gen feels a little silly. Like, it's not a ton, but where everyone becomes crab to the ultimate. I would love a series, a set of games that just does carcinization for the hell of it. Hey, we've got the first gen since Hoenn to be very, very water focused. Why not do it now? You know. The beginning part of Pure Green, the changes seemed pretty benign, but it got super weird as it went on. You couldn't trust anything to reliably be what it used to be anymore. Blech, I don't like that. Like changing Fury Swipes into Dust Claw. 40 power ground type move? That's strange. Okay. At that point, it feels like it shouldn't even be the same move at all. But I guess if it functions like Fury Swipes. I know I glazed a lot, but Pokemon Reborn makes you appreciate many moves because it added field mechanics, so you must account for that. I do like that. I like the idea of adding utility to those moves. I think that there's no reason, not no reason, because I think it would make it a lot harder to account for, but I think if you were trying to make a setting where Pokemon was more realistic, right? If Cut can cut down a tree, why couldn't Slash? Why couldn't Fury Swipes? Arguably, Vice Grip or something. Like there's a lot of moves that should be able to do stuff on the field. Fish evolved to be similar to Diglett. Mushrooms evolved to be like Tentacool. Yeah. Also, it's notable that unlike regional forms, convergent evolutions don't have different stats in their base forms. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're fully identical. That makes it even stranger to me. I don't know. I just why not just make them regional? I guess in the case of Diglett, Wiglet, and Tentacool and Toedscool, the idea is like, how could you possibly explain a ground type Pokemon becoming an underwater Pokemon and a swimming Pokemon becoming a land Pokemon in that sort of way? But like, I don't know. It's kind of what ZA did. Any sufficient punch can break a boulder. Yes, which I like. I like that. It's very cool to be able to think a little more pragmatically about that, and not to be like, I need strength in order to, or I need rock smash specifically. That I do agree. That game is not meant to be blind Nuzlocke by any means. Oh Jesus. Reborn's field effects. Oh, I'm sorry. Field effects. I'm thinking of I'm not thinking of field effects. I'm thinking of out of battle mechanics, which I think sometimes are referred to as field mechanics. You're talking battlefield effects, right? You're talking like terrain and sandstorms and stuff like that, and weather. Because those are already, even the official stuff starts to get a little bit convoluted these days. Yeah. In-battle effects. Gotcha. Trains like change the type and power of half a dozen moves. Ugh. Psychic and mystery terrains. Yeah, because don't they do weird stuff to like speed of things or whatever? Reborn sucks, don't fall for the hype. Oh boy. Uh-oh. It's also really pessimistic. Oh boy. Well, I get plenty of that in Pokemon Insurgents, but I guess that's not strictly true. Insurgents isn't pessimistic so much as it is just edgy. Psychic blocks priority moves? Whoa, okay. Interesting. I guess that kind of makes sense. If the idea is that something's trying to catch you off guard, then the psychic terrain is able to let you telepathically kind of catch that, I guess. The battlefield got weird, yeah. I suddenly feel very stupid about this. The battlefield got weird. Is that a line of stage direction dialogue in Pokemon, or is that one out of Earthbound? All the trains except Misty buff their own type. Misty nerfs dragon damage instead. Okay, Psychic blocks priority, Misty blocks status effects. Electric prevents sleep, Grass heals. All apply only to grounded mons. Okay. Interesting. Had a weird interaction with my Incineroar against a Psy Spam team. Could not do my parting shot, Intimidate, Fake Out routine with Psychic Terrain and Magic Bounce users all over the place. Couldn't do anything by Dark type Incineroar. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Like, I'm not of the opinion that Pokemon would be better if it was, like, super duper streamlined. Like, I like that there's abilities. I like that there's held items. I like that the meta has more going on nowadays than it had for like the first, 3-ish gens. But I think there's just so many options that it does make it a little hard to keep track of at this point. And in particular, I think that there's still too much unique stuff in Pokemon. I think there's too many unique abilities. I think there's too many uniquely useful held items. I think there's too many unique evolution items. Like, I think there's too many things that only apply to one exact scenario, and it kind of bums me out. some of them are silly too. Like the Protector literally just looking like the like tactical pocket situation of the Rhyperior is so bizarre to me. It's just very weird. And I got you, Gekwa, Radar. On the flip side, I've been playing Pokemon Lazarus. I'm mostly enjoying it, but it does have a... Oh, I think I enjoyed Reborn because I played it right after Insurgence, so my tolerance was low. That is completely valid. Insurgence is tough to really push through. I am getting back into it soon. We've got a lot of backlogged episodes of various series, so I've been trying to clear those out first. We have not had a normal recording session in almost 2 months. The last one we had was immediately before the anniversary stream. And granted, there's a bunch of reasons for that, because we had the anniversary stream. And actually, strictly speaking, we recorded, CJ, Felice, Sarah, and I recorded some Resident Evil Requiem the day after the anniversary stream. So we did record something that weekend. But then the weekend after that, we were flying to Scotland. The weekend after that, we were returning from Scotland. The weekend after that, I think, was us going out dancing. The weekend after that was stuff related to why I was in the hospital last week. And then the weekend after that, this past weekend we just got out of, we had like a party DIY camping type situation. Long story short there, every time our camping crew, which includes myself and Sarah and Jeff among others, every time we get together and do like a DIY camping type thing, we always kind of cool down at the end of at least one, if not several of the nights by grabbing a projector and a generator, and I have my laptop, and we throw on some David Attenborough documentaries. It's very zen. It's a great way to just kind of like, that like, it's very meditative. And if anyone's not aware, David Attenborough just turned 100 on, I think, Friday, maybe Thursday. No, Friday of last week. Have a good one, Radar. Good to see. Oh, one more for Gekwa. I got you. But so, yeah, we decided, I literally like 2 years ago during a DIY camping, I was like, how old is David Attenborough? Anyway, and I looked up and it was like, oh, he's turning 100 in 2026. And so I put a thing in my calendar. Oops. I put a thing in my calendar. David Attenborough turns 100 for May 2026. And then we decided to make a thing for that. And I was like, oh, that's fun. So we had a little party, get-together, camping type thing. We watched some Attenborough out in our like backyard, essentially. And we watched some more inside. But yeah, we have a bit more stuff in the can. We've got one more week of Pokemon Soul Silver before we're out. We're out of Sly Cooper. We have 2 more episodes of 999. We have 1 more episode of Heavy Rain. We have a week or so of Resident Evil Requiem. After all of that, I would have to check what we have any of. So odds are I'm going to be getting more back into Mario Kart World and Pokemon Insurgence as needed. And if we're able to get people together for recording, then cool. If not, then like some of those things I'll continue. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it won't be not next week. We won't get into those things because next week the plan is we're going to be finally doing Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and Kirby Air Riders, which I've had for like 2 months now. So those, assuming I can get the intros recorded and edited, we should be starting next week with those. We don't have a ton of those. We got like a week and a half's worth, but we'll see if we're able to record more coming up soon. Just catching up on the chat real quick. So, and on the flip side, I'm playing Pokemon Lazarus. I mostly am enjoying it, but it does have a few little changes, like new hidden abilities or some type changes. At least all the moves are fine, and I really don't mind Ninjask being bugged dark now. That really helps it stand apart a bit from everything. Yep, I would agree. I think Ninjask being bugged dark is perfectly fine. Gens 1 and 2 are unplayably simple in my mind. I don't mind them, but they are definitely like it's a little too easy to walk into scenarios you're familiar with and just curb stomp everything. Gen 3 and 4 at least added enough to those with the remakes that it's like, okay, these are now more in line with what Pokemon is nowadays. Need to keep an eye on when Monomyth releases. I want to be up to date. Yep, me too. Certainly an interesting just thing in general. Glitch Field. This is the stupidest terrain and one of like half of them that exist only has glitches for certain boss fights. Ugh. Oh, I don't like that. Let me see if I can pull this open real quick. As a field, categorized as a synthetic field designated number 24. This field is generated if the moves Conversion and Conversion 2 are used successfully after one another. If none of the users is holding an Everstone. What? Psychic moves have increased base power. Darksteel and Fairy become normal type. During damage calculation, both the special attack and special defense of Pokemon are taken as equal to whichever of the two is higher. Oh, I see what's happening. Glitch Field returns everything to Gen 1 mechanics. Psychic is stronger because it just was a broken type. Darksteel and Fairy vanish and become normal. Special attack and defense become 1. Critical hit ratio is boosted for speed-based things. The physical and special split is, undone. And the type chart is rebroken. Huh. That's interesting. I don't really know what to make of that. The field that turns the game into Gen 1. Oh, I missed that part before. Yeah. Yeah, meh. I could see that one exclusively for like a weird boss fight being something kind of interesting to have happen once. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 999 and Heavy Rain I decided to alternate just because I wasn't sure if, we would be getting more episodes of those recorded before we ran out of stuff. And I figured it would make more sense to alternate between them while we've got them. And then as we get more of them, we'll kind of figure it out as we go. We do have another weekend. This weekend is going to be the remaining 2 episodes of 999. Next weekend, we'll at least have the 1 episode of Heavy Rain. If we haven't recorded more, if we have, then we'll have, more than that. There's a normal field that you will have during any fight in a forest. Forest field. Oh, no, I don't really love the idea that just the area that you're in is automatically doing stuff to your battle. Yeah, grass-type moves and special bug-type moves have 50% increased base power, and then a bunch of, I don't know how I feel about that. It's just like, it's too finicky. There's too much going on. The problem is Reborn's fields, they're kind of made to make boss fights harder. You can't really take advantage of them yourself, especially since you have a very limited access to Pokemon compared to the trainers you fight naturally. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the way that you make bosses harder is that you adjust their AI. You give them interesting or unique combinations of moves, abilities, and held items to account for certain things, or to just make them thematically appropriate for whatever you're doing. I don't know. Fields are analogous to battle backgrounds, which had effects for some things like camouflage and nature power. Yeah, but it was very limited. I don't know. I feel like some of the things that Reborn is doing are for the people who specifically want everything in Pokemon to be a very, very large math equation. It's like there's a ProZD video about like learning the rules to a complicated card game, and it's like, oh, you know, this one turn takes like a minute and a half to describe what you're doing because there's so many modifiers. And it just feels like that. Like it's designed for someone to be like, so I've chosen this move, but it's special, which in this terrain means it multiplies by this, but because it's this type, it actually divides by this, except we have a trick room, so it's going to undo that, and it's been glitched, so now it's a normal type, which means because this one's a normal, and it's just like, okay, how much damage is it going to do, please? Making better trainer AI is like a thing that only recently became available in ROM hacks, but Reborn is a fan game, so it shouldn't have been limited by that. No. Anything that is not literally just modifying an existing Pokemon game should be capable of handling trainer AI that does stuff that's more interesting. For you know, modifying existing games, that's obviously a bit trickier because you have to, you know, essentially decompile that chunk of the game to be able to make sense of it. But a lot of Pokemon fan games are the ROM hacks or running off the Pokemon Essentials pack for an old version. RPG Maker, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I would do it if I wound up ever getting further along with my fan game idea. It's very much in like the concept stages right now. I don't think I'd want to even like toy with the idea of starting to code any of this stuff until I had a better idea of what I wanted to do with the story and the characters. I've got a few elements that I've got figured out. I've got a basic gist of a region I want to put together. I'm still figuring out the plot, honestly. I've got a few elements of plot that are more overarching stuff than like directly involved in the specific plot. But I don't know. I think I've already told, you know, spoiled for folks what I wanted to do with starters. Because I wanted to find another, I mean, everybody is like, oh, I want to find a different, you know, type trio to play with. I think nowadays there actually is one that works. I forget if, because it's what, like, I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't remember if Fairy actually created a valid type trio again. Like Fairy fighting Steel, I think, is technically a. I don't know if resistances match up for that one. Super Effective does. But what I came up with was I would love to have a set of starters who have a at least moderate type trio, but also because it at least in the old days it used to be thematically important. What if we can get a moderately accurate type trio that also has dragon type involved? And what I wound up with was, okay, what if our starters are Horsey, Mareep, and Trapinch? Yeah, Water, Electric, Ground, which I think is an interesting trio to start from. It certainly has a lot more variation of how you deal with what are traditionally early game Pokemon, because there's a lot of like flying type Pokemon. Or at least there's like the regional bird, if not two sets of regional birds to deal with early on. And you've also got, you know, fishing and stuff that can happen early on as well. Water is one that is affected quite differently from each of the three of those. But then at different stages, all three of those Pokemon evolve into something that involves Dragon type, right? So for, I forget, does Vibrava have Dragon type? I think Vibrava has Dragon type at stage 2. Kingdra has Dragon type at stage 3, and then Mega Altaria. Mega Ampharos has Dragon as a Mega Evolution. So like I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting twist on some of that. That all 3 would have like access to something like that. My very small rejuvenation experience, it's not too hard to use the field effects to your advantage if you're not stingy with changing your team. Which is fair in a game, especially if you have an easy way of grinding for levels, or at least a quick way of doing it. Whether it's EXP shares or stuff in the boxes. Stuff in the boxes is able to gain a small amount of experience or something, I don't know. Good at writing. Fan games with good writing are like rarer than shinies. Yeah. Yes. Good writing in fan games seems to be real rare. The chess one. All Pokemon and the teams of both the player are assigned roles as chess pieces based on certain criteria. Oh, geez. Oh, that's way too much. Way too much is going on here. Yeah, nope. Way too many things to suddenly throw at somebody. Let's see. I don't know. I feel like for starters, you need to either make them as starters or do such a thorough remake that you may as well be. Yeah, honestly, I think I would probably rebuild all 3 of them to be starters. To spoil how they enter the game, the idea is that they're given to you by someone. You're running an errand for somebody who needs a delivery of, essentially a delivery of food to a restaurant. But something gets all mixed up in the order, and rather than, probably won't get into the details of it because that's a little too edgy in my opinion, but like, I don't know, imagine it's like spoink meat and Miltank meat or something. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Instead, it's a box that contains your 3 options of starter Pokemon, with the idea that they are not native to the region, that they were supposed to be like the equivalent of like Wagyu beef or something. I don't know. Like it's supposed to be, it's imported from somewhere else. So none of the 3 of those would be in the region otherwise, which would give me the ability to kind of rebuild their stats and move pools and all that stuff to be more starter-like. I don't think that I would... I feel like I would not want to go for like, Torrent and Blaze and whatever the grass one is, the standard starter abilities, because I find those so fucking boring. But I wouldn't be giving them any like crazy busted things either, so I don't know. Maybe I would use them. Who knows? It's not a perfectly even trio because you go the other way around. Yeah, like I said, it's not a perfect trio. But also they get dragon at different stages anyway, so it's already sort of uneven in weird ways. That's why they use the one they use. It's the only one that works both ways. Yeah. Cave of Dragonflies had a write-up on this ages ago. Yeah, I've seen a few write-ups that will do like, here's the closest to perfect, and then here's one step further away from perfect. Changes moves into chess moves. They become super effective against things that have abilities that imply they're dumb. Yeah, it's... The chess thing seems fucking obnoxious. That seems like such an obnoxious pain in the ass. For no fucking reason. Like, at this point, you're not even doing a Pokemon battle anymore. Like, it just seems silly. I don't know. Overgrow, yes. That's the grass one. Story abilities are also important to keep it simple at low levels. It's true. I don't think that if I was going to give them new abilities, I wouldn't give them something insane. You could evolve out of it. That's true. It could be that for the first stages, they do have Torrent and some electric and ground equivalent of those. And that, 1 or 2 evolutions out of that, it changes to other stuff. Nowadays they have hidden abilities and ability patch the thing. That's also true. No trainer can stand up to the might of just buffing on something that can't hurt you and then sweeping their team, though, probably. Yeah, I think I would need to redesign some elements of each of the three of them so that, in particular, Mareep isn't completely walled by Trapinch. I would need to do a little bit of something there. I actually don't know anything about Marshadow. Is Marshadow Gen 8? Or 7? Unless that trainer that is from 7? Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about Marshadow. Is Spectral Thief priority? That's a good question. Is that a Spectrier thing? Should a signature move steals buffs before dealing damage? Blech. Oh, it's Marshadow's move. Okay. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it seems a little rough. The horses don't get any signature moves because they're useless without the rider. Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to do was, so I do have a location that I had in mind as the basis for the region of my kind of fan game premise. And I'm kind of looking at what the local flora and fauna are for that area as inspiration of, like, what would make sense of types of animals that you would expect to be here. And also, you know, what would be good candidates for Pokemon to adjust as, like, regional variants because of similar stuff for that. I haven't gotten very far in it, but there's just some interesting stuff. I'm a sucker for disconnected limbs or extremities. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, boy. I'm hoping one of these days we can get back into the Crown Tundra and wrap that up. We've gotten close a couple of times to making it happen, but it's been tricky. I have toyed with the idea of, you know, just wrapping it up sometime when Jeff is around, but every time that becomes like a possibility, there's like a near miss on whether we're able to get Ben in for something. So I keep kind of double clutching on that and going, maybe I should just wait. We got plenty of other stuff we can do. There's no reason to force that if there's the possibility of making it happen outside of, another time. So perhaps someday. Unaware Aegislash with Topsy-Turvy was common. Oh, God. Wait, what does Topsy-Turvy do? Or is that like Trick Room as an ability or something? Reverses stat changes. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. That's interesting. That seems pretty fucking busted. Because there's so many attacks that would otherwise reduce your opponent's stats. And it then becomes very easy to use moves that are like, super powerful, but then it reduces your speed or your attack or whatever. And K. Malamar debuted that move as a signature. All right. Other things can use it these days. All right. Oh, it reduces opponents' changes. Oh. Okay. That's still interesting, though, because then it means that opponents can't buff themselves. That are weak to one another in rock, paper, scissors fashion and with the same resistances. In reverse are rock fighting flying. Oh, yep. Fire, rock, steel, and grass, poison, ground. Gotcha. Yep. And like, to be honest, I had a very loose idea of like a trilogy of stories that tie together with a few threads. I don't think realistically, I'm not even gonna get one of these done, but the likelihood of getting 3 of them is like comically low, but it helps from a writing standpoint. It does help. It's the Star Wars effect of like, okay, if I write stuff that comes before and after this, it'll make it a lot easier for me to build in that world, since it is lived in to a certain degree in that way. And so maybe I would pull from another one of those actual trios for that, And who knows, maybe I wind up tossing the water electric ground one. I just like the idea of having a dragon trio as the starters there. I just think that's kind of an interesting idea. Is there any Pokemon fan game that deviates from the 2 options, it seems, of here's your grass, fire, water starter, or here's your like scripted 1 starter Pokemon? Or I guess the third option of it's a fully randomized Pokemon. Like, are there any fan games that pull from a different set of types? I think I'd seen those lists too at one point, and at the very least, Fire, Rock, and Steel I stayed away from because Steel is just too defensive, especially for like a starter, at least at the beginning. Later game, it's less of an issue, but at the very start of the game, if you had a Steel type starter, you're kind of just tanking through a lot of stuff. Fire, Grass, Water is also pretty generally pretty solid type core for a team. That's true. That's true. Pokemon Odyssey, aka you get Minute and Plusle. Oof. Okay. Reborn and Rejuvenation let you choose any starter up to Gen 8. Okay. Though it's still restricting you to Grass, Fire, Water. I'm mostly thinking like, is there any that gives you, for example, 3 choices, but they're not Grass, Fire, Water? You can pick 9 starters from Kalos, Alola, or Paldea, but you can also input a code into the PC behind the professor to get a random Pokemon of any type if you're doing a monotype run. Okay, alright. Interesting. I'm honestly a little surprised that it seems like no fan games experiment with the opening trio of types. At the very least, I could see like Grass, Poison, Ground is one that is probably the most balanced for like a start of the game type thing. Because it has like not unreasonable... Oh, you're totally right. Insurgents actually did do that. It actually did do a different trilogy of things. You're totally right. So yeah, I stand corrected. But yeah, Grass, Poison, Ground is like, okay, Bug does interesting stuff with each of those. Flying does interesting stuff with a bunch of them. Water does interesting stuff with a couple of them. They're generally not equally rare to find catchable in the wild. Grass usually pretty common. Water is super common. Once again, Rod or Surf, and Fire is rarer. Yeah, I would agree. Grass and water are fucking everywhere in Pokemon, which makes them being starting types a little bit odd to me. Like, nowadays it's just tradition, so they just hang on to it, but like... Well, that's what's nice because it is original region and story. Main reason for I went for it versus another one of those old region revamp hacks. Yeah, I haven't played much in the way of fan games and hacks and mods and all that, but I don't know how interested I would be in just playing. Here's a game that modifies Kanto or Hoenn or Unova or whatever. kind of want to play Odyssey, but I'm intimidated. I love Etrian Odyssey, but I don't think I get any of the references. Oh, is that what Pokemon Odyssey is meant to be? Like big send up to Etrian Odyssey? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way. I've always just kind of read that in my brain as Etrian, but maybe it's Atrian. Maybe it's pronounced like Brian. Atrian. But yeah, I don't know the first thing about Etrian Odyssey, so I also would not get any references if that's actually what's going on there. Man, offer you an egg in these Atrian times, yeah. Oh, I think we're going to be just short. I'm trying to remember if a level 3 Pidgey gives us... I want to say this is going to give us like 23 experience points. Because it's the same amount every time. 23, god damn it. We are 1 experience point short of level 37. Also, yeah, hello, C-Dude. There's very little references, or they're irrelevant to the plot as far as I've seen. Okay. Bunch of new Pokemon forms that resemble the various notable monsters. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't think I would even recognize that happening, to be dead honest. Into party member 2 tumors because... Oh, no. Because her tits were hugs. Alright. It is our 18th time preventing evolution, so we've now filled out our 2nd row of Raticate. Alrighty. And we're off. We're at least... Oh, I think we may have an incoming raid from Shell. Apparently, Shell just gave me a shout out over on their stream. So I think they might be bouncing over here. Everybody act natural. Everybody act natural. I mainly felt Odyssey as Pokemon with an enhanced RPG flavor. What else is really popular? I guess Mariamon. Oh, there's Mariamon. There's also I actually have completely forgotten the name of the Minecraft Pokemon thing. Is it just called like Pokécraft? Or is it Pixelmon? Or Voxelmon or something? Oh, Pokemon Unbound. Yeah, I've heard of that one. Tried it for a bit, but I didn't stick with it. Yeah. Is Mariamon basically just a... I guess it's probably more than just a graphical thing. But a lot of times stuff like that is so gimmicky that I have to assume that it's just a bunch of stuff being renamed. Hello, Shell! Hello! Howdy, howdy, howdy. How was Star Force tonight? Hello. Hello, hello. Y'all have just barely missed us hitting level 37, I'm afraid. But you've beaten Star Force. Hell yeah. Nice, nice. 100%ing or just beating Andromeda? Mariamon is original map and story, and every Mario Pokemon is designed individually. Okay, all right. Also, did you like Andromeda's bizarre physicality and shape-changing shit? I'm trying to remember if Jeff and I recognized early in the battle that Andromeda was kind of like a little hand puppet fist situation going on. But yeah, Andromeda's pretty rad. Shout out Cepheus. Little broccoli boy. King Broccoli. We stand Cepheus in this household. Cepheus. But yeah. The good news is... Oh, actually... oh, yeah. P.O. Daddy, right. Best friend of D.O. Patty. Were you playing on the Star Force Legacy Collection? Because I was about to say, congratulations, Okay. I was going to say, congratulations. If you're playing Star Force 2 and 3 in the future, you don't have to worry about the awful, awful, awful choice of font from Star Force 1 following you anymore. Granted, I don't like the font choice from the Battle Network and Star Force Legacy collections anyway, but Star Force 1 on the DS, the font is so wide. The individual characters are like super wide for some reason. I don't know why they did that. But Star Force 2 and 3, they're much more reasonable, and they're actually like kerned and stuff instead of just being fixed width. Star Force 1, it's so weird looking back at Star Force 1 because the font is so fucking bulky. I'm trying to remember if there was anything from I guess the question is, are you planning on doing the post game for Star Force at all? Non-variable width feels like it does more harm than good in games like that, especially in the 2000s. Yeah. If you're doing something that's meant to look like... I guess the trick is... I was going to say, if you're doing something that's meant to look like code, which a lot of stuff in Battle Network and Star Force technically is, but just like, it's just rough on the eyes. I might. Okay, cool. I was going to say, I'm trying to remember if there was anything like big in the post game from Star Force that's like, you definitely need to check that out. I will say that the post game for both 2 and 3 merit checking out for sure. And Star Force 2's post game probably is the most interesting so far. 3 has some interesting stuff too, but I'd say 2's post game is the most interesting, which is wild because 2 is definitely the least good of the Star Force games. And the encounter rate is fucking bonkers in Star Force 2. I don't think I've experienced an encounter rate as aggressive as Star Force 2's since... Oh boy, the best example I can think of is Final Fantasy II, the Dawn of Souls remake for Game Boy Advance. The post game has an intentionally crazy aggressive encounter rate. Dawn of Souls might have been Final Fantasy 1. It was Dawn of something for 2, but I forget what. Yeah, Star Force 2 was kind of rough on the encounter rate situation. And yeah, toggling them on and off will save you so many headaches. It's wrong when I see Star Force 1, I don't think of Star Force 1. I think of Street Fighter 1. Oh man. I would say that for you in particular, that is a perfectly reasonable thing. You're a big fighting gamer, and you're into the aesthetic and everything. So that makes perfect sense to me. I was gonna say though, it is very funny considering Street Fighter 1 seems to rarely, if ever, be in anyone's brain. Because like most people think Street Fighter, and whether they know it or not, including the people who do know it, I feel like most people tend to default to Street Fighter 2, right? It's funny because like I've never played the original Street Fighter. It's very funny to me that like those sprites from Street Fighter 1 have like no sauce. It is like juiceless sprites for Street Fighter 1. And then Street Fighter 2 comes around and has some of the best sprite work I've still kind of ever seen from like the pre-indie, retro era. First one plays terribly too. Oh, great. So one of those instances where it's like low-key miraculous that they got the second one out the door in the first place. Oh my god. Clearly everyone's favorite is of course Street Fighter 2010. That's the one everybody comes home to. Mom, can I play some Street Fighter? We have Street Fighter at home. Street Fighter at home. Street Fighter 2010. Street Fighter won't get a huge F. Yeah, that doesn't super surprise me. You have to go way too far into the game before you get side select in Star Force. Oh, yeah. Street Fighter is one of those cool fighting games where both health bars are on one side of the screen. Oh, no. Oh, that's awful. Oh, God. I don't know if I've ever seen a game do that before. Holy shit. I was going to make a joke about, like, Cadillacs and dinosaurs, but even that one didn't do that. Street Fighter 1, can you play as anyone besides Ryu and Ken if you're in multiplayer? Oh, do they just limit it like that so they didn't have to balance things? Ken is player 2? Yeah? Oh, boy. Whew. I guess in the main game, can you only play as... You can only play as Ryu normally. Great. Awesome. That's so funny. That's just like... I don't know. I can't even think of a good example. It's like playing Mario Kart, but you're only ever allowed to play as Mario. You can select a country to start off on. Okay. And I guess what? That changes the order of your fights? Like who you're fighting and what, like in what order out of everybody? That's rough. That is real rough. Holy cow. Street Fighter 1 is where Keiji Inafune made his debut in, but all he did was the character art. Whoa, holy cow. Dang. That's an interesting starting point for him. It's very funny to me that, like, and I'm sure that, you know, arcade cabinets and their chips and graphic and, you know, GPUs and all that stuff followed a similar, like, generational growth that, like, home consoles did. But it's funny that, like, you've got your arcade games that were very Atari kind of coded. Maybe not Atari, more like ColecoVision and Television coded, like, in terms of the graphical integrity. And then you've got your ones that are very NES... then you get your ones that are very like NES Master System style in terms of the sprite work. That like chunky, you know, low palette type stuff. And then you've got your like Genesis and Super Nintendo grade stuff that comes after. And it felt like from there it just kind of unlocked everything. I don't know. That thought wasn't like going anywhere in particular, just throwing it onto the plate and it's like, here you go. Oh man, I honestly, having now brought it up, having brought it up myself, apropos of literally nothing, I really need to find an excuse to play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs again. That was low-key my favorite arcade game growing up. There would eventually be others in high school in particular. DDR, if you count it, was one I was really into. I got into Guitar Freaks for a little while. Soul Calibur 2, I think, was one that I played a lot. Obviously Gauntlet. You got stuff like The Simpsons and Bucky O'Hare and stuff like that. But yeah, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. So when I was a kid, I was in a bowling league. And because I'm in New England and I was in the league with my cousin who lived in New Hampshire, it was not a 10-pin bowling league. It was a candlepin bowling league. Little tiny balls. And if those pins got even a breath of air on them, they went down. I loved it. I think I still have somewhere, I think in my dad's storage unit, I still have my bowling balls from back then. That would have been almost 30 years ago. Oh, Jesus. But they had a couple arcade cabinets. Oh, Time Crisis was the other one in high school that I got really into. But when you were very around right now, that's true. That's very true. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Yeah. I still don't know Oh, that was probably... I forgot to plug in my laptop. I had my phone plugged in with the MacBook cable, and I just plugged it in a minute or two ago, so that was probably what that was. But yeah, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is one of the games they had at the bowling alley. So after a game, while everyone else was like chatting and stuff, I would race over to the cabinets and start playing that. And I liked it, and it's so hard, and the same son of a bitch killed me every single time. Dude had like 5 health bars. I forget, his name might have been Slash. I remember him having like Wolverine-style claws, and I think you fight him in like a boxing/wrestling ring. And as he moves around very quickly, he's got like a ghosting effect behind him. But I forget if it was the same sprite of him or if it was like a colored sprite of him, like a rainbow effect or something. I did find a cabinet for Alien vs. Predator 2 years ago. Ooh, that's pretty fucking sick. Honestly, I should really... There was a point in time where I was actually trying to get my hands on a Pachi Slot Ability Rockman machine. And at the time, it was like $300, which frankly is very reasonable for one of those. Multi-game cabinet had a bunch of Capcom arcade titles as I played Strider, Captain Commando, Mega Man: The Power Battle, and Final Fight for the first time. Nice. Damn, that's actually super rad. But yeah, if I can manage to get my hands on a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs cabinet, I think I would see if I could buy it. I can't imagine they would be going for all that much, because, like, who gives a shit about Cadillacs and Dinosaurs anymore? Like, we're not talking a Jurassic Park arcade cabinet, you know? Or like a Gauntlet, you know, Dark Legacy or whatever. Or like Time Crisis 3 with like some, you know, specialized... You know, oh, we got the gun and we also have the paddle and all that stuff. The funniest thing about... I'm just like bouncing brain-wise from thing to thing. The funniest thing to me about all this math stuff that's going down on the bottom left there, because that's all automatic. I wrote up a bunch of formulas to keep running and updating every second to give those rolling averages. There's going to be a point... 100, 200 hours from now where those two averages that are in there, the average experience per minute, the average fights per hour, they're basically just going to stop moving. They're going to they're already at a point where they don't move very much. Like every second, the average experience per minute drops by about 0.0008 per second. It would take... How long would that take? It would take about 20 minutes of sitting completely still for that to drop by 1. Or about 5 minutes of sitting still to make it drop below 50. The average fights per hour, that's dropping by about 0.002 per second, so that would move a little bit faster. But it would still take about 8 minutes of sitting completely still for that to drop by a full unit. So there will eventually be a point where they just kind of stop moving and we'll have our more or less final answers there. One of my ex-bosses collected King of Fighters cabinets at the roof storage. Whoa, it was hell when he bought a new one we had to take there by stairs. Ugh. Oh yeah, that seems not fun. The benefit of the D-pad studio space being essentially in the basement of our house is that we've got a garage that's like right off the side that could very easily wheel it in and it doesn't have to go up anything. At some point we're planning to add an extension to the house, at which point the studio space is going to move into where the garage is now, and the garage is going to continue past that. So it'll literally be like the same distance. Hell, if anything, the D-pad studio space might have an exterior door of its own. Everyone knows the higher your cabinets are, the more mercury in the air affects your luck. Wait, what? Is that a thing? Does mercury in the air impact processor speeds or anything? Are you planning on playing... Winds and Waves. I'm like, what the hell is Weewa? Winds and Waves before the generational trauma gets there, or are you going to try and go in blind? I'm probably going to go in blind. I was debating it, and honestly, it may depend. Maybe it'll depend when this specifically wraps up. Mercury is in retrograde. Oh, I see. Yeah, depending when this wraps up. If this wraps up particularly close to when Winds and Waves comes out, there's a non-zero chance that I play Winds and Waves the same way we did Pokemon Violet. And because we would have decided it by then, I think if I did do that, I would explicitly choose the version that I would not be doing for generational trauma. Just so that the one that we did for that is the opposite version. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll really depend on that. Because the plan was to go in blind, but also, it's going to be the 11th game in the series. It's going to take a while to get there. Like, even if that was the only thing I was streaming, which it's not going to be, and even if I was putting in, 5-6 hour streams twice a week to do it, I still don't think that I would be able to get through even 3 Pokemon games in the time it takes for Winds and Waves to come out, because that's coming out next year sometime, right? I don't think we have an official date yet, but we know that it's 2027. By the time you get back, you will have forgotten everything. I promise. I mean, that's probably true. The later gens I have far less of a memory of compared to the earlier ones. I definitely know a lot more about Gen 1, 2, and 5. And even 5, I don't remember all that much. Not much in terms of, the finer details, but... And then from 6 on, even though we've literally done them on the channel, there's a lot of gaps that I have, missing in terms of, I could start to, if I was to try to remember what types the gym leaders were from, I guess I didn't play Pokemon Sword, but even from Pokemon Violet, it would take me a while. Granted, that one also is tougher because all 18 types have some kind of representation in a boss battle in the game. So that doesn't super help. We need to get the guys from Madness to meet up and do some bowling and karaoke. Fuck yes. Absolutely. I'd 100% be down for that. There is a... Paldea, I was like... Those are literally the first 2 that came to mind for me as well in Paldea. I remember distinctly Bug and Grass. There's Bug, Grass, Water, Ice, Steel. Oh boy. Oh yeah, Larry is normal. Oh, Iono. Yep. Electric. Oh, sorry. I genuinely, I have no fucking clue. Oh, there was Psychic and Ghost. Sure. Oh, yeah, sorry. Ghost, not Steel. I was thinking of, is it Rhyme? I'm trying to remember what her name was, because she was the sister of one of the teachers. We need a Bug Dragon combo. Yes, we do. And it really honestly kind of bothers me a bit that, Flygon isn't Bug and Dragon. Really feels like it should be. Ground and Dragon. It feels like it should either be Dragon and Bug or Dragon and Flying, not Dragon and Ground. That's such an odd combination for that. Yeah, Time and Rhyme. Rhyme is the current leader. Yeah, okay. I fully do not remember a psychic gym leader at all in Violet. Do not remember at all. Mega Flygon is Bug Dragon and Insurgents. Oh, that's nice. Sadly, Kevorkian is dead? Or wasn't valid? Sorry, no, Kevorkian was my Scyther, or Scizor. I forget who my Flygon... Oh, Tennyson. Tennyson was my Flygon. Tennyson is dead. Granted, at this point, virtually everyone I've ever caught in Insurgents is dead. My idea of Bug Dragon would be a giant moth. Okay. Oh, Mothra. Okay, sick. Yeah, that would be pretty rad. It's like gym leader is the Fashionista Tulip. Yeah, it's not ringing a bell at all. The one with pixel art around her town. I mean, I remember the pixel art, but I thought the water gym town also had pixel art. And I guess maybe not. All right. They also made a sound-focused special attacker, though. Simon Says with a gym leader as her challenge. See, I remember doing that with that fighting trainer. Oh, that is for that. Okay. Cascarafa was the one with the elevators near waterfalls. Okay. I do remember... Is the town with the psychic gym leader with the pixel art also the town where you do where you can get the stuff to evolve your like Armarouge or Ceruledge? It's some of this stuff, like, there's so much Pokemon at this point that describing something from outside the 2D era of Pokemon feels like you're just making shit up. That town has no gym. Okay. Down on the eastern side, Psychic Town is southwest. Not in the sense of, like, that's not believable, but it's more just like it feels Mad Libsy. It's a little town by the pass over the north area of Area Zero. Okay. Yeah, I vaguely remembered that being like a tiny-ish town. So Tulip's too busy doing important fashion business to take much out for the gym challenge. Yeah, I just don't remember at all. Like, she's literally on the phone when you get there for battle. In the distant future, when you finally do this challenge, I'm looking forward to you getting used to the... Oh, yeah. I think Scarvio is one of the few things I haven't even turned on the Switch 2. I have checked a couple Switch 2 versions. Like, I've looked at Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, at least on the, like, title screens. Even on the title screen for Tears of the Kingdom, you can immediately tell that it's running smoother and higher def and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I will be playing all of the Switch Pokemon games on the Switch 2. I don't think Sword and Shield, I guess I want to say all. I guess I don't mean like Let's Go or the Legends games, but I don't know if Sword and Shield is winding up with any like boosts other than like basic general runs at a higher resolution type thing. I don't know if it even runs in 60 frames. But it'll be very nice to play Scarlet and Violet and not have it run like complete dog shit. None of the other games got patched. I think Legends Arceus had some frame drops that got fixed by just running on better hardware. That makes sense. Better GPU, better RAM, all that stuff is probably helping. Sword and Shield and Let's Go were perfectly stable. Yeah, no, I'm talking Scarlet and Violet were the ones that ran like they were like they were actively dying before your eyes. Oh man, I'm looking forward to, it's probably a good like 2 or 3 streams away, but I am looking forward to the point where the estimated fights left drops below 40k. Man, Pokemon is cool. The coolest thing about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is how they forgot that they were that they coded the entire planet's worth of ocean to be calculating its renders at all times. That still blows my mind that they fucked that one up. Truly insane fuck up. Like, how do you not catch that? Surely they would be running analytics to keep an eye on, like, memory usage and stuff. And frame drops and yada yada. Gonna make that entire world's ocean explorable and meaningful, damn it. Hey, I hope so. I'd be down for that. I would be down for Pokemon Winds and Waves being the Wind Waker of Pokemon games. In my dream world, that will never happen, to be clear. This is just me fantasizing. I would love it if in Pokemon Winds and Waves, you could sail around, like you could travel around the ocean and head to various port cities of other generations of Pokemon. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh, Dive has to... Or actually, not even has to. I think we already know that it's coming back, right? Better than Wind Waker, because I still cringed how linear and unexplorable Sunken Hyrule was. Yeah, Sunken Hyrule really does feel like a missed opportunity. Not like it needed to be a huge thing, but they could have... There's a version of Wind Waker in my mind where Sunken Hyrule isn't the last dungeon, but kind of the last act of the game. Where, like, rather than you go through, you know, the Hyrule Castle and then immediately off to Ganon's, you know, situation, instead treating Sunken Hyrule as a dungeon unto itself. Like, one huge dungeon of, like, okay, we're now going to navigate around and find semi-familiar landmarks down here. They're going to pull out the depths and have the ocean floor be a whole thing. I mean... I'd be kind of cool with that, to be honest. It's one thing I want to see in Winds and Waves that probably won't happen. Some form of an anniversary tournament with all the former champions. Yeah, bring back the champion tournament from Black and White 2. I think it was I think that was called the World Tournament. It was such a crazy... I haven't even played the game, but I heard about the World Tournament, and it blew my mind that they were like, let's just add in all of these notable trainers from past gens. Like, it's legit like 50 extra unique trainers from that. It's awesome. I think that's so cool. Way more than would ever make sense to include for something like that, but I wish it wasn't all competitive style battling. Yeah. I know there was 10 tons of bullshit cut out of Wind Waker for time, though, so who knows what the original plan was. I mean, hell, we know from Skyward Sword that they were originally going to have the surface world be fully interconnected, too. So maybe that's kind of a theme of just like, whoops, we didn't have time to build the downstairs world. Stopped expecting much from Pokemon in general, but also because I'm negative biased to the Switch. Yeah, like, I have had a pretty negative opinion of Pokemon for the last... Now's the part where now's the part where I'm thinking about it. I guess for most of the last, like, 10 years, basically since the Switch era began, with the exceptions of, I think that the two Legends games are both fantastic. And I think all of the other Switch games, three of them? I guess there's only three of them, really, right? Because you got Sword and Shield, you got Let's Go. Oh, no, there's four of them. Because Sword and Shield, Let's Go, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and Scarlet and Violet. Not including the two Legends games. All four of them have some kind of glaring issue with them. Let's Go is probably the most polished of the four, which is saying a lot. And then, like, I guess arguably Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are also highly polished. There's just not a lot going on there. But, like, Legends continues to be the one, like, promising element of Pokemon right now. I'm like, they're aware that they can do more interesting things. This is still a possibility. I always felt like Sunken Hyrule being so limited was a deliberate choice to be like you can never truly go back. I think it thematically fits very well. I don't know how intentional it was from the get-go, but I think they were able to justify it with that eventually. To more or less say, like, yeah, you know, it fits with the, you know, the past. The past is buried. It has to stay buried. Which is in and of itself a, like, major theme of the Wind Waker. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, at least there was some designer in there that was like, you know what, let's make these late game and post game battles really fucking hard, why not? Yeah, that was a long fucking time we spent in the post game. We spent about as much time in the post game as we did in the main game for Brilliant Diamond. Including a 12-hour grinding session. I'm trying to remember why I needed a 12-hour grinding session. Was it literally just because the jump in levels from things we were doing just, like, jumped by, 20 levels out of nowhere? Did I lose too many Pokemon and I was grinding them to catch back up? I actually don't remember. Yeah, I need to get back into Legends ZA. I've been enjoying it so far, but I will say that I guess we'll call it mid-game twist to the formula. I'm one of the people who is disappointed that they did it, because I was kind of looking forward to what they were setting up initially. Oh, you're right. Yes, I refought Rourke. And he fucked up my team. So then I was like, okay, let's take some time and get a proper team situated. And I was grinding essentially as many of my Pokemon up to be competitive with the gym leader levels as possible. So that I had a variety of dudes to choose from. That's exactly what it was. ZA didn't grab me the same way as Arceus did. Also, yeah, same. Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like ZA is a better game than Arceus, but I think, I don't know. There is something that I feel like is missing from ZA, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if it's because you technically, once the training wheels come off, you can do anything you want. But you're from the get-go, you've got the entire city, and that's it. I don't know how I feel about that. I have to assume that Arlo's prediction of the catacombs never happens. Even though, goddamn, that would be such a fucking clever idea. Granted, it would be clearly cribbing off of Tears of the Kingdom in a huge way, but it still would be fucking rad. I do at least appreciate them kind of recognizing how much better than all the rando schmucks are. Wait, I do at least appreciate them kind of recognizing how much better. Oh, you are. Yes. Yeah. It's definitely true. But it also, like, it's funny because, like, Tears of the Kingdom presents itself in its trailers as being, here's Hyrule, and also you can soar above Hyrule. And then you play the game and they're like, psych, bitch, there's an entire third layer. And it's the biggest and most expansive of them all. I thought that was kind of neat, the depths and all that. But yeah, the way that Legends ZA portrays itself at the beginning in terms of what you're going to be spending the most of your time doing, and then the game pulls that all of a sudden, and you're like, well, okay, so we're just hijacking like the main thing the game was doing here. It would be kind of like, so okay, a great example. So one of my big gripes with Sword and Shield was that there's, I think, 2 separate points where the game says, oh no, a big dangerous thing is happening. And before you can do anything, here's Leon stepping in to save the day. And in one instance, you literally show up after Leon has fixed the problem. And in the second instance, Leon is there with you and goes, no, you go. You keep doing your gym leader your gym fights. That's more important. I'm going to go do this. Even though by this point, I think by that point you have 6 gym badges, which inherently makes you one of the, like, I don't know, we'll say 30 strongest trainers in the country. One would imagine that you would be useful for a situation like that. And I thought it was ridiculous that the game, like, dropped a wall on you immediately after telling you something interesting was happening in the other room. They're like, no, you go finish your homework. The equivalent to what ZA pulls there, and this is me exaggerating it. I don't think it's this extreme, but a similar thing would be like the same thing happening in Sword and Shield, but instead, you know, the first time you find out there's a thing happening and you can't, and in the normal game it just tells you, oh, by the way, Leon fixed it. It's like if instead you show up, you help fix it, and Leon just goes, man, thanks for doing that. Anyway, here's like 4 badges. You should probably pick another gym and then wrap this up. Like, it just feels like, wait, but this was like the whole thing. This was like the whole idea was I was going to do this thing. I don't know. As the Wild Zones start coming in with new acts, at least it does recontextualize exploration, add more wild mons to access and treasure to find. That's true. You can't do absolutely everything from the get-go. No, you can't like do everything, but you can explore. I think, as far as I'm aware, you can explore everywhere in the city to the point where you could just give yourself warps to just about everything you could possibly need. When are they going to realize that the best way to have a rival be on your level is to have them also playing in swap mode? Yeah, I think it does feel like a weird disparity that, I don't know. I guess to be fair, the way to make your rivals actually be on your level is to either allow them to do swap mode or just to force you to use switch mode, or whatever the fuck the one is that means that you can't do anything while they throw their next one out, which I guess technically in ZA is the case. You're never like, actually no. I'm trying to remember now. It's been too long. The game doesn't like tell you, oh, they're throwing out someone, so do you want to switch? They just throw them out, right? Set mode, thank you. It's like it's another S word. What the hell is it? They tried to make Leon seem inspirational or aspirational to both Hop and you by having him solve some problems allegedly too big for you, but they did it in a very boring way. Yes, absolutely. Also, I don't know. He's the champion of the region. Implicitly, he's already really strong and cool. They didn't really need to prove to you that he was capable. He's the champion. If he wasn't capable, one of the 12 other league-affiliated trainers underneath him would just overtake him. I don't know. Again, yeah, I see that stuff in Sword and Shield is an overreaction to people complaining about how much story focus there was in Alola. Then people felt like they just wanted to get on with the gameplay. I think that's not untrue. I think the pacing in Sun and Moon was not good. And it wasn't so much that there was too much, in my opinion. It was that it was very uneven. It was very like start and stop. Like there were chunks that were super short. There were chunks that went on forever, including it took so long to get to your first Kahuna battle. Holy cow. When we did it on the channel, it took I think 16 episodes before we fought was it Hala? Oh yes, no, I saw the Kickstarter news. It's fucking bullshit. Stupid fucking bullshit. Hopefully that'll get reversed in time. In ZA you can switch whenever, but they also don't tell you what they're sending out next. That's fair, yeah, okay. ZA headcanon to some low-rank random trainers were literally complaining to Quizartico about you beating them all up whenever you decided to join for a night. I suppose that's a possibility, because even unranked you were taking on ranked trainers and kicking their asses. But also, switching is one of the most complicated decisions in competitive Pokemon, so it'd be super hard to train the AI to be able to do it beyond the current. Okay, there's literally nothing this mon can do in this situation set up. Yeah. They don't necessarily have to have the craziest AI in the world, but they could certainly do stuff like, okay, I'm fighting a Parasect. I probably want, rock, fire, flying as my target, types or something. Speaking of Leon, there's actually a ZA dialogue referencing him. Sometimes if you take a taxi somewhere, the driver will account a story where they were driving Leon somewhere and apparently just being near him made the taxi driver have no sense of direction, just like he did. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Sun and Moon's intro isn't too bad the first time. Yeah, I guess that's probably... it went on for a long time, but it didn't feel bad. But doing it a second time, because we were doing Sun and Moon as a padlock, was definitely like, okay, get on with it. Let's please get this moving. I did like the regional forms. I like regional forms better than convergent evolutions, which in my mind are basically just still regional forms. Like, Toedscool is a separate Pokemon, but in my brain it's just Paldean and Tentacool, But yeah, just calculate which moves would do the most damage from across their entire team. Yeah, there's probably some and it doesn't even have to be fully accurate. You can add some fuzzy math into it so it can make a decision that is technically flawed, but it's at least one that seems moderately reasonable or something, Toedscool is such a weird guy. I do think I like Toedscool better than Tentacool. I don't care much for Wiglet. I'm so bored by most water Pokemon. There's too many fucking water Pokemon. I don't know. There's just like fucking 1,000 of them. So, having an opportunity to do a new version of Diglett and making it a water Pokemon is like, why? Make it a bug or something. I don't know. Especially things with regional Evos with normal pre-Evos being almost inaccessible outside their home region. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, regional Pokemon are probably going to do similar things to some of the other weird evolutions, where nowadays they're just items. Like the Mossy Rock and Icy Rock and electrical current or magnetic field evolutions are now basically, I think they're literally like Grass Stone, Ice Stone, and Thunderstone for the most part. I think we're probably going to have something similar for regional evolutions. Like divergent regional evolutions, basically. All those are just using the same elemental stones we have. Yeah, exactly. Because they basically compressed it back down into a form that we were more familiar with. Because I think there was a point where they were like, man, do we really have to make a fucking magnetic field cave in every game now? We have to have a cave that's got a mossy rock. We've got to have a cave that's got an icy rock. I wouldn't be surprised if they did make some kind of Alola stone. Call it an island stone or something, right? And then for... what would they be? Because then we have Galar. What would a good Galarian stone be? I'm trying to think if there's anything that like unifies Galar. Stadium stone? A preferred solution to regional breeding is either making a held item or an item you can give to the breeder that makes it like count as another regional breeding. Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. Basically like incense. There we go. Island incense, stadium incense. What would a Paldean stone be? A zero stone? I don't know. That was a weird thing about Scarlet and Violet, actually. Framestone. Blueberry Academy had zones where Alolan Exeggutor lived, right? I think so. I want to say that Blueberry Academy functioned as a different region for some things. You couldn't evolve and execute into an... Did it not do that? I thought there was at least one thing that did evolve differently in Blueberry Academy, but I could be mistaken. I don't remember. A Terastal Stone, yep. Making zones that count as other regions would be nice sometimes, but don't force them into every game. Yeah. That, again, I think that's part of the reason why, like... Or... We're in a post-Dexit world. We just don't need every Pokemon to have all of their various regional things. As much of a bummer as it is. But then we have the problem of like, okay, so we've just made a bunch of evolutions that only show up once a decade at best. So like there's no good answer, you know? They've kind of backed themselves into a bit of a corner. So I don't know what the answer would be. Some of the code makes it so that if a mon is present, all of their forms also have to be present. At least that's been the case so far. Does have Alolan regional forms in it, but they're either imported or evolved in a separate nursery or something. Because then we get into the realm of like what I think is sort of lame, which is, oh, if you want an Alolan Exeggutor, you just have to catch an Alolan Exeggutor. You can't. There's no way to evolve it. What I really don't want to have happen is more unique held items. Please, for the love of God, let there not be a, tall tree, or, tall palm or something that you give to an execute to make it evolve into an Alolan Exeggutor. Or like smokestack chunk to give to a coughing to make it evolve into a Galarian Wheezing or whatever. Like, it needs to be more generic. There's too many unique held items and things in Pokemon already. Which, like, wouldn't be so much of a problem if there wasn't such a huge pile-up. But now you get to the end of, like, by the end of Pokemon Violet, my inventory had so fucking many single-use held items. It was so ridiculous. All it does is clutter shit up. I don't like it. At the very least, the held items that are for like unique evolutionary things should do something else if someone else is holding them. Like, okay, Rhydon evolves into Rhyperior if, traded with a Protector? And in some games like Legends, if it just is holding on to it, if it's given the Protector? Or uses it or whatever? All right, that's fine. But also, if anybody else is holding the Protector, it should do something crazy to their defense. Like, make them do anything else, please. Almost all expendable held items, some back in Gen 9, I think also Gen 8, at least for training battles in 8. Wait, what? Almost all expendable held items, some back. Oh, come back in Gen 9. That's the thing. They're all back, which is like, there's just so fucking many of them. That, like, Protector is only useful for evolving one Pokemon. Razor Claw evolves, I think, 2 Pokemon. Razor Fang evolves 2 Pokemon. No, it's all good. There's so many fucking items where the point is they evolve one Pokemon one way. And that's all they do. And it's like, man, let them do something else. And, like, yeah, maybe it's a matter of, maybe they could consolidate a few of them into, like, combined things. For the OGs, King's Rock and Metal Coat. Yeah, both of those actually do stuff, right? Because King's Rock, I think, increases your crit chance, and Metal Coat... Is that a defensive buff? I'm trying to remember if Metal Coat actually does something. King's Rock, though, does do something, if I recall correctly. Oh, Flinch, that's right. I do think it'd be pretty harmless to change trade item evos to level item evos or use item evos. Yep. Razor Claw and Fang do things as well. That is definitely true. Metal Coat is just the steel booster. Okay. But yeah, Razor Claw and Fang, even as I was saying, I'm like, I know they do something. I forgot what, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it again, I keep harping on it just because it's such an easy example to reach for, and it's been around for fucking ever, but why not have the Protector give a defense boost? You know? Hell, it honestly makes... I think it was just a bug on my leg. I don't know what that was. It honestly makes sense even if it's still on Rhyperior post-evolution. Just make it imply that his Protector, like, his orange parts are super strong. No reason not to. I don't know. Reaper Cloth doesn't do anything. Yeah, the Electrizer and Magmarizer not doing anything also feels very strange to me because they're like such shoo-ins for doing something for electric and fire type Pokemon. That's pretty much Gen 4. They haven't really added items like that since then. Have they not? I could have sworn that Violet had just a whole chunk of like other Evo things that were in there, but maybe I'm mistaken. Because I kind of stopped having new Evos for a while. That's true. And then we got a new kind of class of evolutions that were all like esoteric weird things, if I'm being real. Like King Gambit, kind of a weird evolution. Overquill, kind of a weird evolution. A lot of stuff that's like, I don't necessarily dislike weird evolutions. I do think the games need to be kind of explicit about how that happens. Because some of those I think we had to look up. Or like, oh, here's your Tumbleweed Pokemon, and you have to walk around with them for a really long time to evolve them. I'm like, oh, okay. Which, like, makes sense. It's a Tumbleweed Pokemon. But I could very easily see someone not considering that at all as like, a means to evolve it, too. I think it's the Game Freak's strong preference that game mechanics, like evolution methods, are fairly diegetic, so when they want to add new evolution for an existing guy, they have to come up with a method for it that would have never been possible before. Yeah, which is how you get, like, Inkay to Malamar, because it was like, oh, previous games didn't have a built-in gyro. Or all the other things there. There are at least 3 walk-around Evos. Yeah, there was the Tumbleweed, I think Relor, whatever it was the Dung Beetle one, right? Also followed around. And was it Tandemouse? That did it too? Cardio Rat. Oh, the Palmot, that one, yeah. I guess Black Augerite and Peat Block don't do anything, but I also think they're use and not hold. Yeah, the ones that were added for Legends are all U's, I think. Also, god damn it, they gave us a link cable to be able to do trade evolutions with an item in Legends. And then they were like, hope you enjoyed that. You're not getting that back again. It's like, no! Come on! Gen 9's new Evos, they mostly just came up with level up with this move. This move didn't exist before. Yeah. Which, that one's always kind of a... I don't hate it. It's just boring. They've been doing that since, like, Gen 2 or 4? I think 4 is when they started doing that. There's not a ton, but there's a few instances of so-and-so has such and such move, and that is how you evolve them. And yeah, Arceus was meant to be a fully single-player experience, yeah. Rage Fist for... Actually, I thought for Primeape to Annihilape, wasn't it something like they had to also get, like, knocked out a bunch, too? Or am I crazy? Because it did have to have that, like, Rage Fist or whatever. Yeah. Just need to use Rage Fist a lot. All right. Oh, you know what I'm mixing it up with? So I have also occasionally, as an exercise to myself, tried to think through other types of evolutions and how that could work. One of the ones I came up with was the Ghost type evolution, which I'm trying to remember what the precursor stuff for that was. I think it was literally that it needed to, like, maybe it needed to reach a certain level. Like, you needed to level up in battle and get knocked out by the time the battle was over. And that would result in Eevee evolving into the Ghost type evolution. Which is not, not easy, but it's also not impossible. Get Ghost type if you need to use the brick, yeah. There was the recoil damage evos for Basculegion and kind of Runerigus. Yep. Didn't Quillfish also have like a weird thing with that too? Or no, that was the one. Quillfish was weird because I think you had to like. Was it that you had to do a certain amount of? No, that was also use a move like 20 times. Basculegion was the one where you had to take. Strong Bar Barrage. Yeah, Barrage. You had to take a certain amount of damage without getting knocked out in order to evolve those other two. And it was like, Jesus Christ. And they brought it back for ZA as well. Fantastic. But yeah, I think the idea of an Eevee that evolves into a Ghost-type form by leveling up and getting knocked out by the end of the battle, I think that's a fun way of doing that. And me personally, I couldn't give less of a shit if the means of evolving didn't exist before. Sometimes we have a place in Lumios that also has an arch you can walk under to trigger it. Wait, how did that work with Runerigus? I'm trying to remember. It feels like a million years at this point. Quillfish and Stantler are both style-based move use, but they like put Hisui and Quillfish in the terrarium, and I think it just evolved from knowing the move, I think. Oh, thank God. I don't even remember on that one. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I would have caught and evolved Quillfish in 2 separate runs of Legends Arceus and done the same thing in Violet, since I also 100% like I filled out my living dex. It needs to lose HP without fainting specifically, yeah. Which is really fucking annoying. Runerigus has to take a certain amount of overall damage without fainting, then walk under a specific location. Blech. So we're doing Moss Rock all over again. Yeesh. It's be like 50 HP down from max, and you walk under an arch. I mean, that's less bad if that's all it is, as opposed to the one before that was like, you have to take 298 hit points of damage. Or whatever it was. Actually did mess up one of the move knowledge evos. Piloswine could get Ancient Power before Gen 4 as an egg move. Ah, okay. See? There we go. They've got precedent for having fucked it up, therefore they don't have to goddamn worry about it anymore. It's so, like, it's such a neurotic, like, thing for them to fixate on. Overquill is also in Z8. It also evolves with the use of Barbarage. Nice thing in that game, though, is you can just use it on the training dummies over and over. Oh, that's fun. That's nice. Simplify that a little bit. Strats. But yeah, looking forward to getting back into ZA. I know that there's quite a long way to go, at least in terms of beating the game, completing the game, and, you know, post-game type stuff, as well as DLC. Style evos that using style moves cause double PP. ZA doesn't have PP at all. That's true. You're just waiting for a certain amount of time. Happiness evos are really easy in ZA2. You just go to the cafe repeatedly with that mon. Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's funny. And it seems like money becomes rather easy to come by, so it's not even like... I guess you can go to the cafe without even buying stuff. I don't know if that does anything, but still. Yeah, we're definitely at least getting to level 38 here. We'll see where we end up for tonight, but... The side quest in the DLC where the only goal is to spend $1 million for no reason. God damn. Yeah, Peter was telling me, like, some of the very, very basics of the DLC. Like, trying to stay spoiler-free. And it sounded fucking miserable. There's just... some of the stuff in the DLC seems like a really not fun time. Which makes me very glad that we're not, like, living Dex-ing. At least we're not planning to for ZA. Like, if there winds up being, like, dead time in the middle of doing other stuff, I'll probably, you know, take some steps at it. But, like, I'm not planning on it. And if we end the game and wind up very close, then maybe we do it then. But it is not part of the plan going in. In games where berries are grindable, you get a ton of EV deletion berries and make them on super happy right away. Alright. Legendaries are coming slowly, and the normal mons I still need are being elusive. Yeah. I think the, I've already forgotten what the legendary was, or what the mega was, but there was one that got added, like, for Pokemon Day, and I think it was the last one. It was the only one that was in the game already, but not obtainable before then. For whatever reason, so I'll be curious if they add more megas as further DLC. I can't imagine they wouldn't, just because, I don't know, the way that they were handling some of the way that Pokemon has been handling things for, like, season pass style gameplay over the last couple years makes me feel like they're guaranteed to be adding more megas, or at least like, oh, here's guaranteed shiny whatever. Rotom, Gimmighoul, and Galarian Mr. Mime. Gotcha. Oh, Gimmighoul is in this one? Dang. That's not great. I actually really don't like that Gimmighoul is in. Oh, is that the one to spend $1 million for? Because, like, considering ZA does not appear to have Pokemon materials. Oh, really? That's not that. Okay. I was going to say, ZA doesn't seem to have Pokemon materials the way Scarlet and Violet did. So, unless they're actually going to make you catch 999 wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. You need Gimme Ghoul, not Goldango. My bad. Early side quest gives you a Gimme Ghoul. You know how there are sparklers in the form of Lumiose. And distortion, basically all the sparklers are... God damn it. Alright. Okay. Gimme Ghoul and Goldango, I have a weird, brain situation with, because, like, I don't know, it feels like a strange choice to have made, your 1000th Pokemon, your 999th and 1000th Pokemon, and I managed to get Goldango by the last story. That's good. The only issue for me is I need a second to give me gold because I evolved the one the guy gave me, and apparently they're super rare to actually find in Distortion post-game. Yeesh. But yeah, I don't know. They've invented a Pokemon that is, by design, extremely fucking annoying to evolve. I'm trying to think if there's any Pokemon that is more annoying to evolve than a Gimme Ghoul. Like a few of the Legends Arceus Pokemon have irritating ones. Is Feebas annoying to evolve, or is it just that it's annoying to catch? I'm talking strictly you have the Pokemon and you have to like, do you need like a deep sea scale or something to evolve it? Is that what it is? A lot of battle Evomons are pains in the ass, except that they get EXP share now. Yeah. Yep. Feebas is a held item and trade now. Yeesh. Maximum beauty stat? You can even mess it up. Ugh. Max out its beauty stat. If you filled the wrong Pokeblocks, you'd be locked out of it forever. Okay, alright. That is certainly in contention then. By virtue of even having the ability to not be able to evolve it. Also, shout out to Combi or Combi and Salandit for having gender exclusive evolutions. Original Feebas Evo requirement is very flavorful, at least. Yeah. Whoop. All right. Boop. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I've got like notepad files on a bunch of different machines at this point with just like scrabbled down like notes about stuff that I would tweak essentially for a fan game, stuff that I would want to adjust XYZ. One thing that I would absolutely be trying to avoid though is like busted ass moves outside of very, very special circumstances, because I do find that to be like kind of the hallmark of bad fan game writing. If you're just like, oh, and then if you go in here, Ponyta gets a specific, it's Ultra Fire. It's a 200 fire move, and it can burn them 75% of the time. And it's like, okay, man, cool. Gimme Ghoul is like fine in the way they design it so that every first time you run into a chest in Scarvio, it gives like 30 to 50 coins. Yes, yep. It's only if you want to get more than one Goldango that you start cringing. Yeah. Yeah. Also, the chest at about every landmark tower. That is also true. Yep. Yeah, the getting Goldango in Scarlet and Violet isn't that bad. It's honestly fine. But they have now backed themselves into a corner once again, where now every game they want to include Gimmighoul in now has to have the gimmick of here's a bunch of coins to pick up everywhere. So now that's a thing that they have to consider anytime they're going to include Gimmighoul. Here's something I would love. I would love the Pokemon games to explore whatever the fuck is going on with Shellder when it combines with Slowpoke. Slowpoke can now evolve in 5 different ways, all with symbiosis with a Shellder that does not ultimately look like a Shellder does, or a Cloyster, and it does still consider the mollusk situation there, or the bivalve or whatever. Slowbro, Slowking, Galarian Slowbro, Galarian Slowking, and Mega Slowbro. And they all utilize Shellder a little bit differently. And the games just go, yeah, that's still Shellder. And that's it. And it's like, well, At least it's better than Meltan being unevolvable outside of Go. Yeah, Meltan is a fucking awful situation as well. Like, that's going to be one that they're also going to be regretting somewhere down the line. They're going to have to make Meltan not just a thing that you can get and evolve exclusively in a mobile game. Or Meltan and Melmetal are just going to live with Victini in the dungeon below the rest of the franchise where no one ever lets them out again. Has Victini been obtainable in any game since Black and White? Not just that, in Black and White, I think Victini was a pre-order bonus as well. I don't remember. I could swear that I looked this up at some point, and Victini is like almost completely absent from Pokemon post 2010. Or sorry, post 2011, I think. Don't think Victini's been physically catchable in quite some time. Has it even been physically catchable ever? I'm trying to remember how you actually get Victini in Black and White when they give you the bonus. I'm trying to remember if you actually catch it or if they just hand it to you. Has a lot of mythics in the post game, though. That's fine. All right. You catch it in the basement. Okay. But yeah, Victini, Meltan, and Melmetal, they're just going to live downstairs forever. And they're never gonna let them back out again. Victini is surprising to me because, like, it's not so ridiculous. There's no reason Victini couldn't be included with all the rest of them anytime they trot out all the legendaries and all the mythicals again, but whoops. But also, I think the only instance of a Pokemon with a Dex ID of 0, because I believe Victini is Unova number 0. And then you get, what, Snivy, I think, as Unova number 1. Whoop, there we go. It's kind of an interesting way of doing that, especially in contrast to Mew, that was put at the very end of everything in the first gen, which, granted, that's usually how that winds up working in most gens anyway. And then DLC Pokemon or, like, post-release Pokemon wind up after that. But Also very annoying that because of the way they did Meltan and Melmetal, they technically count as Kanto Dex Pokemon, even though, and so now they're the only Pokemon whose Kanto Dex number doesn't match their national Dex number, and ba 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 ba. Dex number or more to see, yeah. It's 150. Maybe there's more. I don't know. There's one more. I still have a little warm place in my heart for all the rumors of a Yoshi glitch Pokemon in Gen 1 if you did XYZ things a certain way. They count as unknown region, but yeah, they're also technically in the Let's Go Kanto Dex as 152, 153, yeah. It's so silly. I'm worried that they're gonna try to do that shit again and be like, oh, in Pokemon Champions, if you do this thing after in the Season 5 release, you can actually get a Shadow Solgaleo. And that's the only way to get that ever. And also, here's a brand new Pokemon. I'm like, wait, hang on. It's also very silly to me that, and this is one that they kind of can't fix, but the Pokemon that couldn't be transferred out of their games ever, like the costume Pikachu, for example, those were so fucking cool. They were such a neat twist on a Pokemon that, despite being the mascot of the franchise, is so fucking bad and boring. It was such a cool way to do something different with Pikachu in a way that made him actually pretty decent in certain battles. And then they went, oh, you actually can't, you can't actually transfer that out of there. Like, well, but why? Go is always going to have some crossover BS when a brand new gen comes out. Meltan, then Roaming Gimmighoul, and who knows what Winds and Waves will bring. Yeah. Yep. What is the Roaming Gimmighoul? Or is that just how you've, living dexed a Gimmighoul into stuff? This is just the easiest way to get a Gimmighoul nowadays. Roaming form S without... it was without the chests. Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, man. Oh, we're 3 battles away. Let's do this. I think we'll probably... We'll run down the rest of our moves once we get to 38, which is going to be in 2 battles. Anyway, maybe 3. No, actually 2, because this will get us... No, this is going to get us 23, so it might be 2 more battles after this. But we'll run down the rest of our moves, and we'll heal, and we'll probably wrap it up there. And then, God willing, next week, I will be able to start much earlier, and we will be able to get at least to level 40. It's just a silly alt form that's only in Go. They have no chests. Gotcha. Shaboom! Level 38. Alrighty. Huh? Strat stopped evolving. It's kind of amazing that Pokemon Go is still running. It feels like it should be ending any day now. From the outside, anyway. Seems like from the inside it's still running, it's still churning just as much as it ever was. Maybe not that first summer, but Go might actually have every Pokemon in it by now. I think they're pretty close if they're not there already. And I have to imagine that they're already prepping for Winds and Waves, where when that comes out, it'll include the whole gen pretty much right away. Not even close to all the Pokemon, or not even close to wrapping up? Or both? Not even close to all the Pokemon. Really? Aren't they? They're at least up through Sun and Moon at this point, right? Have they done Sword and Shield yet? Because I feel like they have to be getting close there. They don't have all the Pokemon from the last 4 gens. Why? What? They have some. Oh my god. It sounds fucking agonizing to keep up with Pokemon Go. That's so irritating. They introduce them like one or a few at a time. Great. Oh, it's all my least favorite things about season pass style game development. All mushed into one title. Got Orthworm a few weeks ago. Okay, so they are including ones from Scarlet and Violet then. That's something at least. God damn. That's irritating. But it's not a gacha. Hatching eggs is basically a gacha. Yeah. One of the things that really made me not like MOBAs and, you know, any League of Legends-y type game was the idea that you were just given a random cluster of characters to work with. And I feel like Pokemon Go is that in spades. Also, man, have I been getting... Look at the expected... the average experience per fight. Below 23. We started the night above 23. We've been getting... And the expected average is over 23.3. I feel like we've been getting really bad luck on our encounters tonight. Like, we're far below the average right now. We're literally, yeah, more than 0.4 below. We're in the ballpark of half an experience point below average. Like, granted, these ones are helping. We may actually inch our way back up. We won't make it back to 23, but we'll be close. Oh, never mind. Yep. Is that 22? 24. Okay, so that's still up a little bit. Even a level 5 Pidgey isn't going to get us all the way there. Alrighty. Oh, hey, we're going to end at flat 2,400 battles. That's cool. I'm down with that. We got 55,000 experience points. We got our 2,400 battles. All right, we're expecting a little over 41k left to go. All right, well, there we go. I think that's going to be where we call this for tonight. Hoping to start much, much earlier next week, and we should at least be able to get to level 40. And then, honestly, after that, it's pretty likely that we're only going to be getting one level per stream for a while. We may get like one more that gets us 2 levels, but after that, it's probably going to be maxing out at 1 level per stream going forward from there. If you've got any votes you want to throw in for the Gen 10 starter, now is the time. I'll give you the last warning on this. But yeah, streams that are coming up. Wednesday, I'm going to be finishing Metroid Prime Hunters. I have my list organized of where we're missing like scans and stuff. It may be a short-ish stream, and if it is, then we may also do some Metroid Prime 3. We will see. There's... Oh my god, did PattyBot just post? Jesus Christ. I've been in for almost 3 hours here. That totally threw me for a sec. So yeah, Metroid on Wednesday. Friday, I believe, is going to be our Digimon night. We're back to Digimon. We're getting into the final chunk of Digimon Adventure 02. I think we've got two. Oh, we got more for Pombon. We've got we've got I think two sets of watch parties before we're done with Digimon Adventure 02, and there may be a third one that does some post 02 stuff before we go into Tamers or Frontiers, whichever the third series is. So that's Friday. Sunday, I don't know if there's going to be 90-minute nails. Is Tamers next? Okay. The way that I remember is because of the epilogue to Adventure 02 makes you think that they're going to lead directly into a thing that deals with something that Tamers would apply for, but it doesn't, whatever. But yeah, I don't know if 90-minute nails is gonna be back on Sunday. I've been meaning to actually message Siege and make sure that things are cool. He might just be, they both might just be busy. And then Monday we'll be back for more of this. I'm gonna be joining. So Shell Shock was in earlier tonight, and I'm gonna be joining a few folks over on Shell's podcast on Sunday. We're gonna be talking about game shows. That'll be a fun time. I just did a podcast with Hito Retro Gaming last night, getting into remakes and remasters. So that'll be going online at some point in the future as a VOD. What else? Oh, and tomorrow I'm actually gonna be streaming tomorrow because Shad and I are teaming up for another Zelda randomizer. This time we are moving away from the realm of 3D, and we're actually gonna be doing a multi-world SMZ3 randomizer. So Super Metroid, A Link to the Past. We both are it's going to be a multi-world where both of us are playing SMZ3. So we are both going to be doing a separate Super Metroid and Link to the Past combo randomizer as a multi-world randomizer. So that'll be interesting. It'll be a chance to finally finish one of those. We've tried twice now with me and Jeff, and it has never actually gotten to the end. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. I don't remember enough of Super Metroid, so I gotta spend some time tomorrow prepping some kind of tracker to make that a little bit easier to navigate and all that. I don't know if there will be an on-screen one. I got to figure out how it's going to look and all of that. That'll be a tomorrow thing during the day. But we'll see. We'll see how that looks. But yeah, we're going to be doing that on Tuesdays for a little bit. Hopefully it's going to be in the realm of 4 or 5 streams, because I have a bunch of work trips coming up at the end of June going into July. And I'm going to be missing a bunch of streams out of that cluster of 6 weeks. I've got a week and a half of 2 separate work trips back to back, and then I'm back for a week, and then Sarah and I are going on vacation, and then we're back for a week, and then I'm going on another work trip. So things are going to get a little bit weird at the end of the summer, or in the middle of the summer. I guess that's the beginning of the summer, actually. It does also mean that Sonic Weekathon is going to be done up a little bit differently this year, just because literally when I would normally be starting it, that's the very beginning of when I'm going to be away. So I don't know. We may also wait to do Sonic Weekathon until after Metroid is done. We'll see. I don't know. That could delay it by kind of a lot, though, so... I also would love to do something for it because Sonic Weekathon this year will mark not just the 5th anniversary of Sonic Weekathon, but also the 15th anniversary of Sonic Week and our very first Let's Plays. So I want to do something for that. I'm still figuring out some details, but we'll get there. Any last-ditch add-ons for the poll? You're down to your last kind of moments of jumping in on this. As it stands right now, Pombon is going to be our starter for Gen 10. Gekwa at 201, Browt at 100, because everybody doesn't want me to have my lovely angry owl boy. And yeah, like I was mentioning before, the plan is to go into Gen 10 blind. However, if this wraps up around the time Gen 10 is about to come out, we may do Gen 10 first and then come back through. So, I don't know. That is definitely a problem for 2027, Rick. Also, we're going to get a new Pokemon. We're going to get a new Gen Pokemon and a new Mega Man in the same year. That'll be interesting. I wonder if we're going to get a new Zelda as well. I feel like the odds of getting a new Zelda this year are rather low, but... So that's it. Choose your Pokemon and have fun. I didn't say have fun. Oh, man. In fairness, I very rarely use fire starters. I'm trying to think of the last fire starter I've actually, like, really liked. I'm using Cyndaquil in Heart Gold, mostly because I've used Totodile like every other time I've played Gen 2. I still like Totodile more than Cyndaquil. Gen 1's a little bit on the fence. I'm trying to think of any of the fire starters that I actually like the most. I don't know. I'm actually literally going to pull this up because now it'll bother me if I don't look at this before we... So yeah, Gen 3 Torchic. It's fine. It's not my favorite probably. Chimchar. I think I like Piplup better. Tepig is my least favorite of Gen 5. Fennekin I like well enough, though I do like Froakie more. Alola, same thing. Honestly, Alola, I kind of like all three, but I do like Rowlet the most. Galar, I like Scorbunny the most. I do like Scorbunny the most out of those. Oh, and Fuecoco and Paldea also. So actually, the last two, I've actually quite liked the fire one the most. So, okay, well, there we go. Torchic, Fennekin, Fuecoco. Torchic is fine. Gen 3, I kind of don't like all three of them in certain ways. So that's kind of a weird one, but I do like Torchic enough. Fennekin is fine, though I do like Froakie more, like I mentioned. And then Scorbunny and Fuecoco I actually like the most there. So, but all right, okay. Well, I've stalled for long enough. I think we can call the poll over. So we'll be playing with Pombon in Gen 10. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Have a good one, everybody, and bye.